I used to work the overnight shift at a gas station off a highway. It was one of those lonely stations where most of the customers were truckers, tired commuters, or the occasional drunk. The store had a rule. After midnight, the doors stay locked, and customers are served through the sliding window. That night, I was alone, like usual. At exactly 3:02 a.m., the doorbell rang. But I didn't hear a knock. I heard the bell, meaning someone opened the door, which made my stomach drop, because the doors were locked. I looked up from the register, and standing inside the store was a woman. She was soaked, dripping wet like she'd walked through rain for miles. Her hair was stuck to her face, but it wasn't raining. Not a single drop outside. She didn't say anything. She just stood there near aisle 2, facing the shelves, like she was searching for something. I stared at her for a few seconds before I finally asked, "Ma'am, how did you get in?" She turned her head slightly, and I swear to you, her face was wrong. Not like monster wrong, like blurry wrong. Like I couldn't focus on it properly, no matter how hard I tried. She took one slow step toward me, then another. My hands started shaking, and I reached under the counter for the panic button, and that's when she spoke. Her voice was quiet, wet-sounding, like she had water in her lungs. "He's behind the cooler." I froze. "What?" I said. She pointed, still walking. "He's behind the cooler, and he wants you to look." My throat tightened. There was a walk-in cooler behind the counter used for drinks. The area behind it was a narrow maintenance space nobody went into unless something fell. I forced myself to look at her again. Her eyes were wide, not angry, not threatening, almost terrified, like she was warning me. I grabbed my phone and said, "Ma'am, I'm calling the police." The moment I said that, she stopped moving, her head tilted slightly, and she whispered, "Too late." The lights flickered once, just once, and when they came back, she was gone. Not walking away, not running, just gone. I stood frozen behind the counter for what felt like forever. Then I heard it. A sound from behind the cooler. Not a voice, not footsteps, a scraping noise, like a fingernail dragging across tile. I didn't investigate, I didn't call out. I grabbed my keys, sprinted out the back, and called 911 from the parking lot. Police arrived within 10 minutes. They checked the cameras. And the officer came out looking confused. He said, "You said a woman came in." "Yes," I said. "You didn't see her?" He slowly turned the monitor toward me. On the footage, the doors never opened. No woman entered, no one, but you could clearly see me looking up from the register, staring into the store, talking to nothing, and then backing away. Then the officer rewound it a few seconds and paused it. Behind the cooler, in the small gap where the shadows were deepest, there was something, a shape, low to the ground, like a person crouched down, peeking out. The officer stared at it for a long time. Then he said, "We're shutting this place down for the night." They never found anyone behind the cooler. No fingerprints, no footprints, nothing. But I quit the very next day because I realized something. The woman wasn't trying to scare me. She was trying to warn me that I was being watched. I worked nights as a CNA at a small hospital in a quiet town. It wasn't the kind of place where anything dramatic happened. Mostly elderly patients, minor injuries, and routine check-ins. Night shift was usually calm. That night, around 2:13 a.m., I was doing rounds. I had my clipboard, my cart, and the normal list of patients. When I reached the end of the hallway, I saw something I didn't expect. Room 12 had its light on. That didn't sound weird at first. except room 12 was supposed to be empty. It had been empty all week because the plumbing in that room had issues and everyone knew it. Staff didn't even use it unless they absolutely had to. But as I got closer, I heard it. A soft sound, like someone breathing, slowly and deliberately through their mouth. The door wasn't fully shut. It was cracked open like someone didn't close it all the way. I called out quietly, "Hello? You okay in there?" No response. I pushed the door open. Inside was a patient. An older man, pale skin, hospital gown on, sitting straight up in the bed. Not sleeping, not moving. Just staring toward the corner of the room like he was watching something I couldn't see. I froze because he wasn't on my chart, not on the assignment sheet, not on the patient list. And yet, there he was. I slowly stepped into the room and said, "Sir, are you supposed to be here?" His eyes turned to me, not normal turning either. It was slow, mechanical, and then he whispered, "You shouldn't be working tonight." It hit me like ice water. What?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He didn't blink. He just whispered again, quieter this time. "They said you'd come." At that point, my instincts screamed at me to leave, but I didn't want to abandon a patient, so I backed up toward the door and said, "I'm going to get the nurse, okay?" The man smiled, but it wasn't friendly. It looked like he was smiling because he already knew what was going to happen. I stepped into the hallway and walked quickly to the nurse's station. The nurse looked up when she saw my face. What's wrong?" "There's someone in room 12? I said. "A patient. He's not on my chart." Her face changed instantly. "What patient?" she asked. "The guy in the bed. He's sitting up staring at the corner." The nurse stood up so fast her chair slammed backward. Room 12 was only about 30 seconds away. We walked there fast, and I could feel the hair on the back of my neck standing up the whole time. When we got there, the light was still on. The door was still cracked open. But the room was empty. No patient, no hospital gown, no rumpled sheets. The bed was perfectly made. And then the nurse said something I'll never forget. She stared at the bed and whispered, "That's the room where Mr. Lasky died last month." I turned to her. "What do you mean died?" She swallowed. "He was in that exact bed. The plumbing broke the night he coded. We couldn't get equipment in fast enough." My mouth went dry. I didn't sleep after that shift. But what made it worse was what happened later. At the end of the night, the charge nurse was checking security logs because I insisted I wasn't imagining things. She found footage of me walking down the hallway, stopping outside room 12, and standing there for almost a full minute. But here's the problem. On camera, I never opened the door. I was just standing there, facing the crack in the doorway like I was listening to someone talking to me. And then I turned around and walked away. No patient ever showed up on video. No one else walked in. Nothing. To this day, I still don't know what I saw in that room. But I do know this. Ever since that night, I refuse to walk past room 12 alone.